Following Strange New Worlds' 2-episode premiere, a trend appears that points to the format of Season 3. While the second episode took on a lighter tone, the first and third episodes are still classic high-stakes Star Trek adventures. The structure of the series, while its firmly established position in science fiction, promotes the investigation of other genres, such as comedy or, in the instance of a zombie Klingon episode, horror. In several aspects, particularly in its examination of combat trauma through individuals like Joseph M'Benga and Erica Ortegas, Shuttle to Khenfori is comparable to the Season 2 premiere. After returning to duty following her near-death experience fighting the Gorn, the latter finds it difficult to overcome her most recent trauma. However, M'Benga's encounter with the daughter of a Klingon defector he killed aboard the Enterprise has the strongest direct link to previous Strange New Worlds incidents. When taken as a whole, these tales provide an analysis of breaking the law and the repercussions. Even though this is a well-known plot point in Star Trek, things don't always go as planned. Star Trek: Discovery's first season saw a war break out. All three served in action and were not yet on the crew: M'Benga, Chapel, and Ortegas. Because he allegedly executed his own troops for war crimes, the Klingon defector became known as the Butcher of Jgal. Except that M'Benga was the real butcher, aided by a sci-fi stimulant. While holding the knife used in the massacre, the ambassador confronted M'Benga in an attempt to provide healing. He was slain by M'Benga. Since M'Benga used Jgal's knife, which Starfleet thought was in the ambassador's hands, he was unaffected. The former Klingon general was accountable for the war crimes rather than attempting to prevent them. Despite the purposeful ambiguity of the episode, M'Benga decided to kill him, possibly because he thought he could get away with it. On Khenfori, the shamed daughter of the Klingon family tracks down her father's killer because she was meant to kill the traitor, not to get revenge. In this instance, M'Benga spares her life by refusing to summon the monster. The consequences of an accident that occurred in Khenfori, which resulted in a zombie virus based on flora, although M'Benga is adamant that Pike doesn't call them that, complicate things. These creatures should be easily destroyed by Star Trek's weapons, which vaporize them. However, the duration of a charge in phasers and disruptors presents some plot-convenient issues for both humans and Klingon. The hand-to-hand battles with the undead and M'Benga's struggle for honor both harken back to vintage late-act battles from episodes of the original series. Even the Klingon fighter has her own happy ending, giving her life in a way that allows Pike and M'Benga to escape. Khenfori is forbidden and not due of the undead, which is surprising. The system was claimed by both the Klingon and Starfleet, and after the conflict, it was off-limits to both. It is the only location where Pike and M'Benga can find a chimera flower, which is why they go there at all. The only way to save Captain Marie Battelle is through its toxic and dangerous medicinal properties. In order to keep the Gorn children in her body from hatching and killing her, the medication given in the first episode wore off. She can only become a chimera herself by using this flower to form a permanent bond with the alien DNA. Captain Pike would probably still order the unlawful operation if anyone else were in such peril, but it would require persuasion. There's no hesitation because it's Battelle. He accuses M'Benga of violating Battelle's medical privacy on Khenfori before he finally discovers the scheme on his own. At last, he hears M'Benga admit to killing the Klingon envoy and fabricating the crime. He can safely assume that M'Benga told a story to save his life, because he is holding a knife to his throat. Because Pike did not participate in the war, he is reluctant to confront his friend who did about the consequences. The argument between Pike and Battelle on this treatment is the most interesting aspect of the program. She and Pike grew closer in Season 2, which is why he feels so resentful that she kept the specifics of her treatment from him. She then persuasively argues that Pike only needs to support her, regardless of whether he agrees with her. After all, the illness is deadly and she suffers from terrible pain. They are all simultaneously right and wrong, and the conclusion is maybe one of the most realistic representations of interpersonal strife in Star Trek. Usually, there are issues in Star Trek episodes that make it impossible for the protagonists to just transport themselves out of danger. Because of a debris field, this one is no exception. To save Pike and M'Benga, the Enterprise has to approach the planet very closely while avoiding Klingon capture. Since Ortegas has also served in the military, her fear is understandable once they arrive. But unlike M'Benga, her experience with the Gorn is closely linked to her trauma. When she disobeys Number One's orders, the crew is forced to attempt a dangerous rescue. However, this insubordination was preferable to the usual Star Trek outcome. While Ortegas is punished by Number One for his insubordination, Pike and M'Benga both disobeyed the rules and got away with it. It consists of some humiliating remedial training, a 2-week duty suspension, and a comparatively mild penalty. As their final line of defense against the undead collapsed, it was because of her that the squad was whisked away. However, Pike and M'Benga may have fled in their shuttle because the whole Klingon away squad perished. Because that shuttle saved their lives, Ortegas might have been able to get away with breaking the law without it.